What if nothing could shake you? What if no words, no failures, no betrayals, no setbacks had the power to break you inside? Imagine living in such a way that storms may come, but they pass through you like wine through an unshakable mountain. Think about it for a second. How different would your life feel if you were untouchable? The truth is, most people live on edge. They react to every comment, every rejection, every challenge. Someone says something harsh and their whole day is ruined. Something doesn't go according to plan, and they lose faith in themselves. Deep down, we know this pattern leaves us weak. We know we shouldn't let small things affect us, yet we do. Why? Because our mind has been trained by years of fear, doubt, and dependency on the outside world. But here's the good news. Just as the mind can be trained to break, it can also be trained to resist. And when you train your mind, you become the master of your life. That's the core of what we're unlocking today. 10 powerful principles that make you unshakable, unstoppable, and truly free. Stay with me until the end of this video, because if you do, you won't just hear words. You will walk away with tools that can change how you face every single challenge in your life. That's my promise to you. By the time we finish, you will never look at problems, pain, or people's opinions in the same way again. Now, let's set the stage. Why is it so easy to get affected by the world around us? It comes down to something very simple. We've given too much power away. We allow the outside world to define our inside world. We let temporary emotions decide permanent outcomes. And the moment you give your peace away to circumstances, you sign a silent contract with weakness. You say, I will only be strong when life is kind to me. But life was never meant to be kind all the time. Life was meant to test you, to shape you, to see what you're made of. Every storm is a question, and the question is simple. Will you break or will you rise? Human psychology proves something powerful. Our brain is built for survival, not peace. That means it scans constantly for threats, for negativity, for things that can harm us. This is why criticism cuts so deep. This is why rejection feels unbearable. It's because the brain thinks survival is at risk. But here's the truth. Your survival is not at risk. Your future is not destroyed by one opinion. Your worth is not erased by one failure. What's really at risk is your focus. And focus is the most precious thing you own. So ask yourself, who controls your focus? Do you? Or does every little disturbance take it away? The people who achieve greatness, the ones who move mountains and inspire generations, they are not the ones with perfect lives. They are the ones who refuse to be controlled by small distractions. They built a shield around their mind, and nothing could penetrate it. Here's where the transformation begins. To live unshaken, you must stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, how can I use this? That single shift is the seed of unbreakable strength. When you view challenges not as punishments, but as training ground, suddenly nothing feels like it can stop you. Think of a sword. A sword is not forged in comfort. It is forged in fire. Every hit, every flame, every strike of the hammer, it all makes the blade sharper, stronger, more dangerous. And so it is with you. Every rejection, every betrayal, every hardship, it is fire. You can choose to melt, or you can choose to sharpen. The choice is always yours. And here's the secret psychology. No one teaches you. Your brain will follow whichever story you feed it. Feed it the story of weakness, and you will feel weak. Feed it the story of resilience, and you will stand tall even in the darkest nights. So let me ask you again, what if nothing could shake you? What if every storm became your fuel? What if every pain became your power? That is exactly what we are building in this journey. And the reward for staying till the end of this video is not just motivation, it is transformation. You keep listening, you will discover 10 principles that will change how you face everything in life. 10 principles that, once planted in your mind, will make you untouchable. Remember this, the world cannot control you unless you allow it. Opinions cannot break you unless you agree with them. Problems cannot own you unless you hand them your energy. From this moment forward, you will begin to take that power back, because the world does not need another person who crumbles at every difficulty. The world needs people who stand tall, who walk through storms with fire in their eyes, who cannot be moved by fear, by hate, or by failure. The world needs you to be that person. Stay with me, because in the next moments, you will discover exactly how to build that unshakable mind. By the time we finish, you will no longer ask, how do I survive this? You will say, watch me rise through this. And that is the reward waiting for you. An unshakable, unstoppable version of yourself. Control begins in one place, the mind. Nothing outside has the power to defeat you. unless it first conquers your thoughts. Every action, every habit, every decision in your life is born inside your head before it ever touches the real world. That is why the strongest foundation you can build is mastery over your own mind. If you can hold command over what you think, no force on earth can hold command over what you do. Most people live as prisoners of their own thoughts. They wake up already carrying yesterday's doubts. They walk into today dragging the weight of tomorrow's fears, and then they wonder why peace feels impossible. They believe they need better luck, better chances, or better conditions to be free. But the truth is, freedom begins the moment you stop being ruled by your own mind. Your mind is like a garden. If you don't plant what you want to grow, weeds will take over. And those weeds are negativity, fear, insecurity, and doubt. The human brain is not naturally wired to keep you happy. It is wired to keep you safe. That means it will always search for danger, always anticipate failure, always whisper reasons why you can't. But here's the difference between the average person and the unshakable one. The average listens to every whisper. The strong one chooses which voice to obey. You do not have to believe every thought you think. Just because your mind tells you something does not make it true. Thoughts are suggestions, not commands. The untrained mind reacts instantly to every suggestion. The trained mind pauses, questions, and decides. That pause is power. That decision is freedom. When you slow down your reaction, you regain control over your destiny. Control of the mind is not about ignoring reality. It is about deciding how you will interpret reality. Two people can face the same event. One breaks, the other grows. The difference lies not in the event, but in the mindset. If you choose to see obstacles as training, your mind strengthens. If you choose to see setbacks as signals to quit, your mind weakens. Every moment you are training your brain to either fight for you or against you. One of the deepest truths of psychology is that focus expands. Whatever you give attention to grows stronger. Focus on what you cannot control, and frustration will dominate you. Focus on what you can create, and energy will rise within you. The mind does not know the difference between poison and medicine. It will amplify whatever you feed it. That is why self-mastery begins with conscious focus. What you look at becomes your reality. So, how do you gain control? You must become the observer of your thoughts. Instead of being swept away by every feeling, step back and watch. Say to yourself, this is only a thought. It does not decide my life. By observing instead of reacting, you separate your identity from your emotions. You stop saying, I am afraid, and start saying, I'm experiencing fear. That single shift breaks the chains. Fear becomes something you witness, not something you are. Once you step into the role of the observer, you begin to direct your thoughts instead of being directed by them. This is when the real transformation happens. Because when you guide your mind, you guide your actions. And when you guide your actions, you guide your future. That is the true power of mental control. It is not just about peace in the moment. It is about mastery over the entire course of your life. Think about the strongest people you know, not the ones with muscles or wealth, but the ones who cannot be moved by chaos. What makes them different? It is not that they never feel fear or anger. It is that they have learned how to keep those feelings from dictating their lives. They know their mind is a tool, not a master. They have learned to give commands instead of taking them. That is why they can walk through storms while others collapse. Your mind will resist this training at first. It will scream, it will pull, it will demand comfort. But every time you choose discipline over impulse, you build strength. Every time you catch a negative thought and replace it with courage, you gain another brick in the wall of resilience. Over time, the noise grows weaker and your command grows louder. Eventually, you will look back and realize the storms never became smaller, you just became greater. Control of the mind is not built in a single day. It is built in moments of decision. In the instant you decide not to react to anger, in the second you decide not to believe the lie of self-doubt, in the choice to rise when your thoughts tell you to quit. Each decision is a victory. Each victory builds momentum, and momentum becomes mastery. Never forget, the strongest prison is the one inside your head, but the key has always been in your hand. No one can hand you mental strength. It must be forged within you. And once you have it, once you know how to stand guard at the door of your thoughts, you become untouchable. Nothing can disturb you without your permission. Nothing can control you unless you allow it. This is the beginning of becoming unshakable, mastery of the inner world. Because when you rule your mind, No storm can ever rule you. The weight of opinions has crushed more dreams than failure ever has. People carry the voices of others like chains and they don't even realize it. One careless comment, one judgment, one rejection, and suddenly confidence disappears. But here is the truth. No voice outside of you should ever hold the power to define who you are. The opinions of others are not facts. They are reflections. Every person who speaks about you speaks through the filter of their own fears, insecurities, and experiences. When someone tells you what you cannot do, they are really revealing the limits of their own imagination. When someone doubts you, it is because they doubt themselves. Their words are mirrors, not truths. And when you mistake those reflections for reality, you give them control over your destiny. Imagine walking into a hall of mirrors, each one shaped differently. Some make you look tall, others make you look small, some distort your entire figure. If you believed every reflection, you would never know who you really are. That is exactly what happens when you let opinions shape your identity. You lose sight of your true self, and you live chasing approval that will never be enough. The strongest people in history, the ones who changed the course of the world, were always misunderstood, doubted, and even ridiculed. They were called foolish until their vision became reality. They were mocked until their persistence forced respect. If they had listened to the noise, the world would never have seen their light. Greatness is always born in the silence of ignoring what others say. Detaching from opinions does not mean becoming cold or careless. It means understanding the difference between feedback and control. Feedback can be useful, but control is destructive. Listen to what serves your growth, but never hand over the keys to your self-worth. The moment you let another person's voice dictate your value, you've surrendered the most powerful thing you own, your belief in yourself. Human psychology teaches us something crucial. The brain craves acceptance. In ancient times, survival depended on belonging to the tribe. Rejection meant danger, even death. That is why even today, criticism feels so heavy. It awakens that old fear of being cast out. But modern life is not the same as survival in the wild. You are not in danger because someone doesn't like you. You are not at risk because someone doubts you. The fear is ancient, but the threat is an illusion. The people who live free are the ones who break that illusion. They recognize that approval is temporary, but self-respect is eternal. They choose self-respect even if it costs them applause. And in the end, that choice makes them untouchable. Because the moment you stop needing to be liked, you become unstoppable. Think about this. Every time you bend yourself to fit the mold of another's opinion, you shrink your potential. You silence your own voice to make room for theirs. You bury your fire just to keep their comfort. But when you detach, when you stand firm in who you are, you expand. You rise taller. You live with freedom because your direction is not being pulled by every passing judgment. Detachment does not mean isolation. It does not mean you never listen. It means you choose wisely. You filter the noise. You remind yourself daily, their opinion is not my truth. Their words do not control my path. This is mental armor. With this armor, you can walk through criticism, through doubt, through rejection, and still keep moving forward with strength. Ask yourself, how much of your life has been delayed because of fear of judgment? How many chances have you avoided because you worry what others might say? Every hesitation you've had because of outside voices has cost you time, energy, and progress. But today, you hold the power to change that. By detaching, you reclaim that lost time. You reclaim your focus. You reclaim your freedom. When you no longer depend on external approval, you begin to live authentically. Your choices are not filtered through fear. Your path is not tied to opinions that change with the wind. Become centered, steady, and clear. That is why detachment is not weakness. It is strength of the highest order. It takes courage to walk alone, to be misunderstood, to continue even when applause does not come. But those who dare to detach are the ones who leave behind the deepest legacy. Remember this, the world will always have something to say. People will always carry their own doubts, their own fears, their own limitations. But those belong to them, not to you. You are not here to live as a reflection of their shadows. You are here to walk in your own light. Detachment from opinions is not an end. It is a beginning, the beginning of a life where you are no longer swayed by every voice around you, a life where your energy is no longer wasted trying to prove yourself to those who never believed in you to begin with, a life where you rise, not because others said you could, but because you decided you would. That is the strength that nothing can touch. That is the freedom that nothing can take away. And once you taste it, you will never again give your power to the noise of the crowd. Emotions are powerful forces. They can build your life or burn it down. Every day, people lose control not because of circumstances, but because they cannot command what they feel. Anger pushes them into regret. Fear holds them back from opportunities. Sadness keeps them trapped in the past. The difference between those who rise and those who fall is not whether they feel emotions. It is whether they allow emotions to lead or to follow. Discipline over emotions is one of the greatest strengths a human being can build. It does not mean becoming empty or numb. It means becoming the driver of your own vehicle, not the passenger dragged wherever impulses decide. To live without emotional discipline is to hand the steering wheel of your life to chaos. But when you build control, you turn emotions into energy instead of chains. Think about fire. Fire can destroy an entire city, or it can keep you warm in the cold. The same flame that burns can also protect. The difference is not in the fire, but in the one who controls it. Emotions are the same. Left untamed, they consume. Guided with strength, they empower. Human psychology reveals that emotions are not permanent. They rise, they peak, they fade. The problem begins when we treat temporary feelings like permanent truths. A single wave of anger can convince you that you must act. A flash of fear can trick you into believing danger is everywhere. But just because you feel something in a moment does not mean it defines your reality. Emotions are messengers, not masters. Their purpose is to inform, not to command. The unshakable person knows how to pause. That pause is not weakness, it is wisdom. In that space between feeling and action, freedom lives. The average person reacts instantly and suffers the consequences. The disciplined person waits, thinks, and chooses a response. That simple shift changes everything. Instead of regret, they gain clarity. Instead of destruction, they create growth. Discipline begins with awareness. Most people are not even aware of what triggers their emotions. They explode without knowing why, or they shrink without understanding the root of their fear. But once you begin to notice patterns, you gain control. You start asking, why do I feel this right now? What is this emotion trying to teach me? That awareness creates distance. And in that distance, strength grows. Mastering emotions also means refusing to let them dictate your identity. Feeling fear does not make you a coward. Experiencing sadness does not make you broken. Having anger does not make you evil. They are states, not identities. When you stop labeling yourself with your feelings, you stop being ruled by them. You realize I am the one experiencing this emotion, but I am not the emotion itself. The strongest leaders, the ones who inspire others, are not those who never feel pressure. They are those who stay composed when pressure is highest. They turn emotional storms into clarity for everyone around them. People trust them, not because they never feel fear, but because they don't let fear decide their moves. That is emotional discipline at its highest form. Another key lies in choosing your emotional home. Everyone has a default state they return to. Some live in constant frustration, some in worry, others in calm. You cannot always control the first emotion you feel, but you can train the one you return to. Every time you bring yourself back to calm, back to focus, back to gratitude, you reinforce that home. Over time, your emotional base becomes unshakable. It takes practice. Discipline is not built in comfort, but in challenge. When anger rises, use it as a test. When fear knocks, treat it as training. Every time you win the battle inside, you grow stronger for the battles outside. The world does not need you to suppress emotions. It needs you to master them, to channel them into action that builds rather than destroys. One of the deepest powers you can gain is learning to transform emotion into motion. Use fear as a signal to prepare. Use anger as a signal to focus. Use sadness as a reminder to appreciate what matters. Emotions can fuel you if you decide their meaning. The problem is never the feeling itself. The problem is the lack of discipline in how we use it. Emotional discipline gives you freedom, freedom from regret, freedom from manipulation, freedom from being tossed around by every mood. When you control what you feel, you control your energy. When you control your energy, you control your actions. And when you control your actions, you shape your future. Ask yourself, how many mistakes have come from reacting too quickly? How many opportunities have slipped away because of fear you later realized was false? Every one of those moments is proof that emotional discipline is not optional. It is essential. Without it, life will keep controlling you. With it, you step into power no one can take away. This is the strength that makes you calm when others panic, steady when others doubt, clear when others are blinded by emotion. And that calm is contagious. People feel it, they trust it, they follow it. Emotional discipline not only protects your own life, it elevates everyone around you. Remember this, emotions are meant to serve you, not enslave you. They are signals, not sentences. They are tools, not chains. The one who learns this truth becomes untouchable, because when nothing inside controls you without your permission, nothing outside can move you against your will. That is the core of true power. The ability to feel deeply yet choose wisely, to carry emotion in your heart, but keep mastery in your mind, to rise above the storm within so no storm outside can bring you down. Life is filled with endless moving parts, events you cannot predict, people you cannot control, circumstances you cannot always change. Many lose their strength because they wasted fighting battles that were never theirs to win. They try to bend the world to their will, and when it refuses, frustration consumes them. True strength is found not in trying to command everything, but in learning where your power begins and where it ends. The greatest freedom comes when you direct your energy only toward what lies within your control. Anything outside that circle is noise. Anything inside it is possibility. Most people reverse this truth. They focus on the noise and neglect the possibility. They complain about the weather instead of preparing for it. They argue about the past instead of learning from it. They obsess over the actions of others instead of shaping their own. And so their energy leaks away drop by drop until nothing is left to build their own future. You cannot control what people say, but you can control how you respond. You cannot control every outcome, but you can control the effort you give. You cannot stop life from throwing challenges, but you can choose whether to be broken or strengthened by them. That is where freedom lies, in the realization that while you cannot command the entire ocean, you can always steer your own ship. This principle is rooted deep in human psychology. The mind hates uncertainty. It constantly searches for stability, for something to grasp. When it faces situations beyond control, it clings tighter, believing that worry itself will change the outcome. But worry does not change tomorrow. It only destroys today. The moment you shift your focus from what you cannot change to what you can, peace enters. And with peace comes power. Ask yourself how many hours have been lost replaying past mistakes? How much energy has been wasted imagining what others might think? How often have you carried weight that was never meant for your shoulders? Every one of those moments was life slipping away. Moments you could have invested into building, creating, rising. When you reclaim that focus, you reclaim your time, your energy, your future. Imagine your mind as a spotlight. Whatever it shines on grows brighter, shining on problems you cannot fix, and despair expands, shining on actions within your reach, and solutions appear. The spotlight is yours, but if you do not aim it with intention, it will wander in the shadows. Discipline over focus is as vital as discipline over emotion. Both decide whether you live empowered or enslaved. There is immense power in accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Acceptance is not weakness, it is clarity. It does not mean you give up, it means you stop fighting battles that do not exist. When you accept that you cannot control the rain, you prepare an umbrella instead of cursing the clouds. That simple shift turns helplessness into readiness. The strongest lives are built on this foundation. Handle the controllable, release the uncontrollable. Every day presents both, and your destiny is shaped by which one you feed. Feed the uncontrollable with endless worry, and you will always feel powerless. Feed the controllable with consistent action, and you will always move forward. Think about the stories of resilience you admire. They are not built on people who bent the entire world to their will. They are built on people who focused on the small circle they could command. And through persistence, that circle grew wider and wider. Greatness does not come from controlling everything. It comes from mastering what you can reach today. When you focus on what you can't control, fear begins to fade. Fear thrives on uncertainty. But when you anchor yourself in what is within reach, you realize you are never powerless. You may not control the storm, but you control how you sail. You may not control the outcome, but you control the effort. You may not control who enters your path, but you control who you become along the way. That shift breaks fear's grip. Clarity also replaces comparison. Many suffer not because of their own journey, but because they keep measuring against others. They look at achievements they cannot influence and feel less. But when you shift back to your own actions, comparison loses its power. You stop asking, why are they ahead of me? And start asking, what step can I take today? That is the question of growth. That is the question of freedom. Every day, life will test you with distractions. Some will tempt you into chasing control over the uncontrollable. Some will invite you to waste time on opinions, on outcomes, on events beyond your reach. The disciplined mind returns to the circle of control. Again and again it returns. And with every return, strength grows. Remember this, power is not found in controlling everything. Power is found in knowing what deserves your energy. If you learn to focus only on the things you can shape, you will move forward faster than those who try to fight the impossible. While they waste years on battles that never end, you build brick by brick, step by step, action by action. The truth is simple, yet life-changing. Let go of what you cannot command and double your strength on what you can. In that choice lies peace, resilience, and unstoppable progress. Because nothing outside you can steal your energy once you decide where it flows. That is how you live untouchable. That is how you rise above chaos. Not by controlling the whole world, but by mastering your own. Pain is one of the few things every human being will face. It does not ask for permission. It does not knock before entering. It arrives uninvited and leaves only when its lesson is learned. Some run from it, some hide from it. But the truth is you cannot escape it. What you can do is decide what pain will mean in your life. It can be the weight that keeps you down, or it can be the force that pushes you higher. Resilience is built in the moments when pain demands you to quit, but you refuse. It is forged in the hours when everything feels heavy, yet you still take another step. Many believe resilience is about never falling, but it is not. Resilience is about rising after every fall, standing even when it hurts, moving forward even when the ground beneath you feels like it is breaking. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is a teacher. It shows you where you are weak so you can grow strong. It reveals where you are fragile so you can build unshakable foundations. Every scar on your body, every scar on your heart is proof that you have faced battles and survived. You carry evidence of strength that no one can take from you. Think about the human body. Muscles only grow when they are torn. The fibers must break before they rebuild stronger. The same rule applies to the spirit. Struggles tear you down only so you can rise rebuilt. Without the tearing, without the breaking, there is no growth. Pain is the process of becoming more than you were before. Most people misunderstand pain. They see it only as punishment. They cry out, why me? But the unshakable ask, what is this building in me? That shift in perspective transforms suffering into strength. Pain becomes fuel. Hurt becomes motivation. Struggles become the fire that forges greatness. Psychology proves something remarkable. Humans remember painful experiences longer and with more intensity than pleasurable ones. Why? Because pain demands attention. It forces the brain to focus, to learn, to adapt. That means every painful moment is also a powerful opportunity. It is a chance to reshape your mind, to prove your endurance, to build resilience that comfort could never give you. The people who rise highest are not those who lived easy lives. They are the ones who endured heartbreak, loss, rejection, failure, and still chose to keep going. Their strength came not in spite of pain, but because of it. They did not run from it. They embraced it. And in embracing it, they discovered a version of themselves they never knew existed. There will always be two roads in front of you when pain comes. One leads to bitterness, the other to resilience. If you choose bitterness, you become trapped, blaming life, blaming others, drowning in anger. If you choose resilience, you use the same pain as bricks to build your foundation. Both roads hurt, but only one leads to freedom. Do not underestimate the silent victories pain gives you. The day you get out of bed when everything inside you screams to stay down, that is victory. The moment you smile while carrying grief, that is victory. The second you try again after failing, that is victory. These small wins, built in the shadows of pain, create the giant strength people later admire in the light. The truth is, pain will always visit. It cannot be avoided. But you get to decide whether it becomes your cage or your fuel. Every struggle is preparing you for something greater. Every challenge is shaping resilience that comfort could never teach. You may not see it in the moment, but every step you take in pain is building a future where nothing can move you. Resilience is not about ignoring the hurt. It is about refusing to surrender to it. It is about looking pain in the eyes and saying, "You will not own me. I will use you to grow stronger." When you speak to your pain this way, it transforms. It loses its power to break you and becomes the very reason you rise. Remember this, the most beautiful diamonds are formed under pressure. The strongest steel is forged in fire, and the most resilient souls are built through suffering. Pain is not a curse. It is the highest form of training, and those who endure it with courage discover strength that no comfort could ever give. So the next time pain arrives, do not run, do not curse it. Stand tall and face it. Remind yourself that it has come not to destroy you, but to prepare you, because each time you rise after pain, you become harder to shake, harder to break, harder to stop. That is the gift of resilience through pain. It is the ability to turn what was meant to crush you into the very force that builds you. And once you learn to do this, there is nothing left in this world that can hold you down. Two people can live through the same storm, and one will collapse while the other will rise. The difference is not in the storm itself, but in the way they choose to see it. Perspective shapes reality. It is not what happens that defines you, it is how you interpret it. Shift the way you look at life, and everything changes. Even when nothing outside has changed, every experience you face is neutral until your mind gives it meaning. A failure can be the end of your story, or it can be the start of wisdom. A rejection can be proof of unworthiness, or it can be direction towards something better. The event does not carry power on its own. It is your perspective that decides whether it breaks you or builds you. This is why the most resilient people are not the ones who avoid challenges, but the ones who look at challenges through a lens of growth. They train themselves to ask a different question. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift turns pain into progress and setbacks into stepping stones. Human psychology reveals that the mind naturally leans toward negativity. This bias was designed for survival. It made our ancestors alert to danger. But in modern life, it distorts perspective. The mind exaggerates failures, magnifies obstacles, and overlooks victories. If you are not careful, you begin to live in a reality that is darker than the truth. The key to strength is recognizing this bias and correcting it. You must train yourself to see the opportunity in difficulty, not just the difficulty in opportunity. Perspective is the lens through which you see yourself as well. If you see mistakes as evidence that you are not enough, you will shrink. But if you see mistakes as proof that you are learning, you will expand. The same situation either imprisons you or liberates you, depending on how you frame it. And the framing is always in your control. Think about a seed planted in the ground. One person sees only dirt and darkness. Another sees the beginning of growth. Both are looking at the same thing. One feels despair, the other feels hope. The reality is the same, but the meaning is different. That is the power of perspective. It decides whether you give up or grow. Changing perspective does not mean lying to yourself. It does not mean pretending pain does not exist. It means widening your view, refusing to see only the wound while ignoring the lesson. It means asking yourself, how can this moment serve my future? When you ask that, even the hardest seasons become preparation for something greater. Every story of triumph is a story of perspective. People who lost everything and chose to see it as a chance to rebuild stronger. People who failed countless times and chose to see every failure as a lesson. People who faced betrayal and chose to see it as a redirection, not a dead end. They are proof that perspective is more powerful than circumstance. When life feels heavy, perspective becomes your anchor. Without it, you drift into hopelessness. With it, you steady yourself in the middle of chaos. You begin to understand that no season lasts forever, and even the darkest night is followed by light. That understanding alone can keep you moving when everything else tells you to stop. Ask yourself, how often have you judged a situation too quickly, calling it the end, only to look back later and realize it was the very thing that pushed you forward? How many times did you curse what turned out to be a blessing in disguise? This is proof that events are never final until you decide what they mean. The strongest choice you can make is to see yourself not as a victim of life, but as a student of it. Every difficulty becomes a lesson, every setback becomes training, every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow. When you live this way, nothing has the power to destroy you, because even in loss, you find gain. Even in pain, you find strength. Even in endings, you find beginnings. Perspective is not something you are born with. It is something you practice. Each day, you choose how to frame what happens. Each day, you either feed despair or feed resilience. Over time, these choices form habits, and those habits shape your reality. Change the way you see, and you change the life you live. Remember this: storms will come, pain will visit, setbacks will appear. But perspective decides whether you walk through them with despair or with determination. You cannot always choose what happens, but you can always choose what it means. That choice is the difference between a life of fear and a life of strength. So when life presses down, step back, look again. Widen your vision. Ask yourself not why me, but how is this shaping me? Because once you control the meaning, you control the outcome. And when you master perspective, nothing can take away your power to rise. There is a strength that no storm can shake, and it comes from one place only: your sense of worth. When you know who you are, when you accept your value, nothing outside of you can take it away. People may doubt you, criticize you, reject you, or even abandon you, but none of that matters when you hold an unshakable belief in yourself. Self-worth is not given by the world, it is discovered within. Most people make a mistake. They tie their worth to achievements, possessions, or approval. When they succeed, they feel valuable. When they fail, they feel worthless. This cycle keeps them trapped because their value rises and falls with circumstance. True freedom begins when you understand that your worth is constant. It does not change with success or failure. It does not grow when people praise you and shrink when people judge you. It is already complete and it lives inside you. The human mind craves validation. From childhood, we learn to seek approval. A smile from a parent, a grade from a teacher, applause from a crowd. These become signals that tell us you are enough. But psychology also reveals the danger of this. When your sense of value depends on others, you become controlled by them. Their rejection breaks you. Their silence weakens you. Their opinion becomes your prison. To break free, you must learn to validate yourself. Self-worth is not arrogance. It is not thinking you are better than others. It is knowing you do not have to prove yourself to anyone. It is walking into a room and not needing permission to belong. It is failing and still knowing you are worthy of love, growth, and opportunity. It is succeeding and still remaining humble because your worth is not measured by the outcome. Think about this. The value of gold does not change because someone doubts it. Gold remains gold whether it is admired or ignored. In the same way, your worth does not change because someone cannot see it. Their blindness does not erase your value. Your job is not to convince the world of your worth, but to believe in it yourself. Many people live trapped in comparisons. They measure themselves against others, appearance, wealth, status, success. But comparison is poison. There will always be someone with more, someone with less. The cycle never ends. The truth is, your worth is not relative to anyone else. It is not found in being greater or smaller. It is found in being authentically you. When you stop comparing, you stop shrinking. A strong sense of worth creates resilience. When insults come, you do not crumble. When praise comes, you do not lose yourself. You remain steady because your foundation is internal, not external. This stability makes you untouchable. Life's highs and lows may shake others, but they cannot shake you. You know that nothing outside of you has the power to define you. Ask yourself, how many times have you doubted your worth because of someone's words? How many times have you lowered yourself to fit into a place where you never belong? Those moments do not reflect your value. They reflect your lack of awareness of it. Once you see your true worth, you stop chasing, you stop begging, you stop settling. You begin to rise in silence, knowing your value speaks louder than words ever could. Building self-worth takes practice. It begins with the way you speak to yourself. The mind listens to your words, and repeated words become beliefs. If you constantly tell yourself you are not enough, the mind believes it. If you remind yourself daily that you are capable, worthy, and strong, the mind accepts it as truth. This is not empty talk. It is training. Just as the body grows with repeated exercise, the mind grows with repeated affirmations of worth. Another key to self-worth is boundaries. When you know your value, you do not allow others to mistreat you. You do not tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or abuse. Boundaries are not walls. They are gates that protect your energy and peace. They are acts of self-respect that declare, I am valuable and I will not allow myself to be diminished. Understand this. Nothing external, money, success, relationships, can give you permanent worth. They can add comfort, but they cannot add value. Because when those things disappear, if your worth was tied to them, you will feel empty. But when your worth comes from within, you remain whole, even when everything else is taken away. The most powerful people in history were not the richest or the most admired. They were the ones who believed deeply in themselves, even when no one else did. Their self-worth gave them courage, their courage gave them action, and their action changed the world. That same power lives in you, waiting for you to recognize it. So remind yourself daily, you are not defined by failures, not measured by comparisons, not limited by opinions. Your worth is not up for debate. It is not negotiable. It is not fragile. It is permanent. And once you hold it tightly, the noise of the world can no longer shake you. Because when you know your worth, you no longer beg for acceptance. You no longer chase validation. You no longer shrink for approval. You stand tall, unshaken, knowing that your value was never in question. It was always there, waiting for you to claim it. Emotions are powerful forces. They can lift you higher than you ever dreamed, or they can pull you down into places you never wanted to go. The difference is not in the emotion itself, but in whether you control it or let it control you. Emotional control does not mean shutting off your feelings. It means guiding them so they serve you instead of ruling you. Every person has felt the sting of anger, the weight of sadness, or the rush of fear. These emotions are natural. They are signals, but they are not commands. Anger is not a command to destroy. Fear is not a command to run. Sadness is not a command to surrender. They are messages, and your power lies in deciding how to respond. The mind often reacts before it thinks. This is why people lash out, regret their words, or make choices that hurt them later. Emotional control is the skill of creating space between feeling and action. In that space, you choose wisely. You pause, you breathe, you reflect. That pause is the difference between chaos and clarity, between regret and growth. Psychology shows that emotions are like waves. They rise, they peak, and they pass. No wave lasts forever. Yet many people make permanent decisions in the middle of temporary emotions. They quit when they are frustrated. They break bonds when they are hurt. They give up when they are afraid. Emotional control means remembering that no feeling is final. If you wait, the storm always calms. Self-control is one of the greatest forms of strength. It is easy to be kind when you are calm. It is easy to be patient when life is smooth. True mastery shows when you can stay centered in the middle of provocation, when you can remain calm in the heat of pressure, when you can choose wisdom in the face of fear. That is when your emotions stop being a weakness and start becoming a tool. Imagine a fire. If it burns without control, it destroys everything in its path. But if it is contained and directed, it provides warmth, energy, and power. Emotions are the same. Out of control, they can burn your life to the ground. In control, they can fuel your purpose and passion. The fire is not the problem. The lack of control is. Anger, when guided, becomes determination. Fear, when faced, becomes courage. Sadness, when understood, becomes empathy. Every emotion has a higher use when you learn to direct it instead of letting it direct you. This is the art of turning raw feelings into refined strength. Emotional control also protects your peace. People will try to provoke you. Life will test you. Situations will challenge you. If every outside event can hijack your emotions, you live like a puppet pulled by strings you cannot see. But when you master control, those strings are cut. You choose your state of mind. You protect your calm no matter the storm. That calm becomes your shield, and nothing penetrates it unless you allow it. Ask yourself, how many times have you regretted something said in anger? How many times have you looked back and wished you had paused before reacting? Those moments reveal the cost of uncontrolled emotions, but they also remind you of your power, the power to stop, to breathe, to shift. With practice, every reaction can turn into a response. Building control takes discipline. It starts with awareness. Notice your triggers. Notice the moments when your chest tightens, your breath shortens, your voice rises. These are signals. Instead of letting them push you, step back. Ask yourself, is this response going to serve my growth? That simple question can transform impulsive reactions into wise choices. Another key is mindfulness. Training the mind to live in the present keeps emotions from spiraling. Anxiety feeds on the future. Regret feeds on the past. But peace lives in the now. When you ground yourself in the moment, through breath, focus, or stillness, you take back control from emotions that want to drag you away. Do not mistake control for suppression. Suppression means burying your feelings, pretending they do not exist. Suppression only makes emotions stronger, waiting for a chance to explode. Control means acknowledging them fully, but choosing how to channel them. It is the difference between drowning in a river and learning to swim in it. The water is the same, but the skill decides whether you sink or rise. Emotional control is also about consistency. Anyone can hold control for a moment, but mastery is proven over time. It is the ability to stay steady day after day, challenge after challenge. It becomes a habit, a natural part of who you are. Others will notice it too. They will see your calm in chaos, your patience in pressure, your clarity in confusion, and that presence alone inspires respect without you needing to say a word. Remember, the world will always test you. People will always challenge you. Circumstances will always shift. But no matter what happens, you always hold one power, the power over your response. That is your freedom. That is your strength. And once you master that, nothing outside of you can control the inside of you. Because when your emotions are in your hands, you are no longer a slave to anger, fear, or despair. You are the master of your inner state. And a person who can master their emotions is a person who cannot be broken. Discipline is the bridge between intention and reality. Many people dream, many people plan, but only those with discipline turn vision into achievement. Discipline is not about what you do when you feel inspired. It is about what you do when the feeling is gone. It is the choice to act according to your goals, not your moods. Consistency is the twin of discipline. One without the other cannot last. A burst of effort will not change your life, but steady effort will. Drops of water may seem weak, but when they fall without stopping, they carve through stone. That is the quiet power of consistency. It transforms impossible tasks into inevitable results. Human psychology reveals that the brain craves comfort. It resists change because change feels uncertain. This is why discipline feels difficult. The mind pushes you to delay, to escape, to take the easy road. But growth lives on the other side of resistance. Each time you push past the urge for comfort, you strengthen the pathways of self-control in your brain. What feels hard at first becomes habit later. Think about the most successful athletes, leaders, and creators. Their greatness does not come from one extraordinary act. It comes from ordinary actions repeated daily without excuse. While others sleep, they train. While others complain, they work. While others quit, they keep going. That steady rhythm of action builds momentum, and momentum builds mastery. Discipline also means keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say you will do something and avoid it, you weaken your own trust. You begin to doubt yourself. But every time you follow through, even on the smallest promise, you build inner respect. That respect becomes confidence, and confidence becomes power. Discipline is not just about results. It is about becoming someone you can trust. Consistency teaches patience. Results rarely come overnight. Seeds do not sprout the moment you plant them. Muscles do not grow after one workout. Knowledge is not gained from a single lesson. Everything valuable requires time. Consistency keeps you moving when results are invisible. It whispers, keep going. Growth is happening even if you cannot see it yet. The danger is waiting for motivation. Motivation rises and falls like a tide. It may push you to start, but it will not keep you going. Discipline and consistency are what carry you through when motivation disappears. They are stronger than moods, stronger than excuses, stronger than distractions. They are the anchors that keep you on course. Ask yourself, how many times have you started something with energy, only to stop when it became hard? How many times have you set goals but failed to stay the course? The difference between those who finish and those who do not is never talent, it is discipline. It is the ability to keep showing up no matter how you feel. Discipline is also freedom. At first, it feels like restriction, it feels like sacrifice. But in truth, it gives you control over your life. Without discipline, impulses control you. Laziness controls you. Distractions control you. With discipline, you control yourself. You decide where your time goes, where your energy flows, and what kind of future you create. That is true freedom, the freedom to design your own destiny. Consistency creates identity. When you repeat an action long enough, it becomes who you are. Running once does not make you a runner. Writing once does not make you a writer. But when you run every morning, when you write every day, you do not just do the activity, you become the identity. And once it becomes part of who you are, it becomes almost impossible to stop. Discipline and consistency also protect you from the chaos of life. Circumstances will shift, challenges will come, emotions will rise and fall. But when you have built habits through steady discipline, your actions do not depend on external factors. You move forward no matter what is happening around you. That stability is what separates those who endure from those who quit. Remember, success is not built in sudden leaps. It is built brick by brick, day by day. Each disciplined choice is a brick. Each consistent action is a brick. Over time, those bricks form walls of strength that cannot be knocked down. Others may wonder how you achieve so much, but the truth is simple. You stayed the course when they stopped. There will be days when you do not feel like it. There will be mornings when you want to quit. Those are the days that matter most, because when you act without desire, you prove that your commitment is stronger than your mood, and that is when discipline transforms you. So commit to the small actions, commit to the daily steps, commit to the process, not just the outcome, because when you embrace discipline and consistency, you create momentum that no obstacle can stop. You create habits that no failure can erase. You create strength that no circumstance can shake. That is the power of discipline and consistency. They may not be glamorous, they may not be loud, but they are unstoppable. And once you master them, nothing in this world can keep you from reaching the life you were meant to live. One of the hardest lessons in life is learning that not everything is in your hands. You can control your choices, your actions, your mindset, but you cannot control every outcome. You cannot control other people's thoughts, their decisions, or the unexpected turns of life. Many live in constant frustration because they fight battles that cannot be won. The battle to control the uncontrollable. Freedom begins when you release that need. Think about how much energy is wasted on things beyond your reach, worrying about tomorrow, replaying the past, trying to manage how others see you. None of these things are under your power, yet they drain your strength every single day. The mind tricks you into believing that worry equals preparation, but worry changes nothing. It only steals your peace in the present. Letting go does not mean giving up. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you recognize the difference between influence and control. You can influence others with your words, but you cannot control their choices. You can plan for the future, but you cannot control every twist of fate. You can strive for success, but you cannot control every result. The moment you accept this truth, your energy shifts. You stop fighting storms you cannot stop, and you start focusing on the sails you can raise. The human mind seeks certainty. Psychology shows that uncertainty creates stress because the brain sees it as a threat. This is why people cling so tightly to control. They want to feel safe. But the truth is, absolute certainty does not exist. Life is unpredictable by design. The only real control you have is how you respond. And when you learn to rest in that truth, anxiety loses its grip on you. Letting go is not weakness, it is strength. It takes courage to say, I will do my best and I will release the rest. It takes wisdom to stop forcing what is not meant for you. It takes maturity to accept that peace is more valuable than control. Many chase control and lose peace. Few let go of control and find freedom. Imagine holding water in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. Control is the same. The harder you try to grip life, the more frustrated you become. But when you loosen your hold, you realize the water was never meant to be trapped. It was meant to flow. Life flows in the same way. The strongest people are not those who bend life to their will, but those who adapt without losing themselves. They understand that rejection can redirect, failure can teach, endings can create beginnings. They do not waste time forcing closed doors to open. Instead, they walk through the doors that life places in front of them.